so much. You basically imparted a lot of information in the time that you have. And for those on the call, I just want to say, or the video, depending on how you're watching us at this time or listening, Sharon, I mean, I've seen her work and she works. She knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's doing. And I would say listen to her. Now, I compiled a few questions. Now, for any of the participants or attendees, if you'd like to verbally, because there's no video for you, but if you would like to verbally ask a question, you can raise your hands. Now, unmute if you wish. You'll also have to unmute your end in order for you to ask the question. Other than that, if you have a question, you can drop it in the Q&A or the chat box. All right. So my first question to you, Sharon, you said you have to have a story to tell. What if you don't want to share everything about yourself, or you believe there's just certain things you're not comfortable with sharing? How you deal with someone like that, or what would you say to someone like that?
Well, first I asked them, what was your purpose in getting into business? And a lot of them go off of their personal story. And I explained to them, you know, stories is what resonates with clients, with consumers, because they are probably going through the same issue or went through the same issue that you went through. I've had clients like that said that they don't want to talk about their story. They don't want to include it. And, you know, there's ways to get around it. You know, but that is the most impactful way that I explain to clients that, you know, you don't have to tell all the dirt or all of the nook and crannies, as I would say, but there are some things that you definitely need to disclose because, you know, we're all human. We're not perfect. And if this drove you to get to your business, for you to drive to build your business, then people need to hear about it and understand why is it that you're doing what you're doing. And once I explain that to them, they're always like, you know what, let's do this. Let's do this. So it's definitely a conversation. It's definitely a conversation. And for example, you know, the client that I have, you know, she's a child molested, a survivor of child molestation. And as we were talking, that she's a speaker. She's a speaker. She's a retired detective. You know, she is, you know, she made it out of that rut. And when we started talking about it, she was like, Sharon, this is the first time that I'm actually talking about what happened to me, my story. And she was scared. She was really scared. And that was something that I had to, we had to work that out. We had to talk it out and make her feel comfortable. So it may not only be the fact that they just don't want to do it. It may be a fear factor as well. And they have to really understand how this is going to help them therapeutically, as well as help them to help others, as well as to help you build your business to get the exposure.
Do you recommend companies to have a nonprofit component to their company?
A nonprofit can always help. But if you are a small business and you're just trying to build your business, what I would say is align yourself with another non-for-profit organization that fits with your mission and your vision statement, and you can align yourself that way until you can get yourself on your feet, that you can run both your non-for-profit and your business. Because sometimes it's overwhelming. If you haven't built your business correctly and now you're jumping into a non-for-profit, you haven't successfully finished one and you're jumping into another. So align yourself with organizations that has that mission for you, and that would help.
Okay. And what if they're doing more than one type of business? Mm-hmm. How do you really cover PR? Because you know a lot of individuals are serial entrepreneur.
Right.
So how can you really do public relations on that?
Well, you know, and I do have some people that came across me, you know, in that situation. First of all, serial entrepreneurs are great. Multiple streams of income, I applaud. I need to get to 7 streams of income. But what I do tell them is that if you want PR on your businesses, they have to collate with each other. They have to intertwine with each other. I can't do PR on a business, let's say, somebody that has a business that does juices, and their next business venture that they started out to do, it deals with dogs, pets. There's no correlation for me to pit or to do PR effectively on you yourself, because you have 2 different spectrums of businesses. Now, if your businesses kind of intertwine with each other, then that's something where we can work with, because I can indicate, well, you have several levels of this type of business that can help a consumer in this particular industry and target group. Because you have some people that don't like animals. So you just totally cut out that group of consumers. So, and again, I have had clients like that, and it had to been, let's focus on 1 or 2 that align with each other, build that, and then go to the next one.
Now, do you find what makes your client stand out, or they have to come to you and say it? How does that work? Because you mentioned, you got to find what stands out. Do you find it?
Yeah.
Or?
So each one of my clients has to fill out a business questionnaire, and it's a very in-depth questionnaire, and it makes them really think about themselves, think about their business, why they went into it, their passion and everything. And as I read it and I go through it, I talk to them about their business, their passion, and we actually come together and come up with their red apples, because sometimes they don't know it's a red apple. So you kind of got to pull it out of them, and for them to realize, like, oh, I didn't realize that. And, so it's a conversation, really. Some come to me with, this is my red apple, I know it off the back, no problem. And we have to kind of like shine it up a little. So some red apples are kind of dull. So we got to shine it up a little. And that's where I come in, to make it more shiny, make it more pretty, make it more red, I should say.
Now, you have a question from an anonymous attendee. It says, how do you know when you need PR? Meaning, for the need of increasing exposure, which one should we go for first? Is it PR? Is it social media? Is it ads or webinars? Which one first?
I would actually start with building your exposure on your social media first. Why is that? Because you have more control over that. And there are several social media experts out there that talks about what to put as a business, what to put on your social media so you can actually start standing out. Because what the media does, they go to your social media. So they want to see what you're engaging, what you're posting, what is your expertise, what is your knowledge, what are your tips, your resources. They want to see that. Because I told you, once you pitch to them, they have to do their own research. They're not just going to go off of what I send them or what you send them. So I would start off first with your social media, because you can actually tell your story on your social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. You can tell those stories, write a blog. Those are things that people are interested in. And, I have a Facebook group that I just created. It's a media and mentoring thing. So please follow me. But on there, someone had asked, I had put on there, a poster or ad is not PR. And someone had asked, well, that's something where, a lot of people are visual. That's a post and an ad is part of PR. And I get it, people are visual, but they are visual when they have a story that they can paint in their mind. So having that story on social media would then create that vision. And then I would say start doing the pitching to the media outlets, because you have a platform now.
I like what you just said, because I find that sometimes people mix marketing and advertisement with PR,
Right.
you know?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the
So
time.
what would you say is the key difference with a PR person? I mean,
A,
specialist.
a PR person tells the story. Point blank, straight out. We tell the story. We don't put a flyer out. We don't, you know, do the commercial thing. You know, again, it's part of our campaign. But the main thing is we have to learn about who our client is, because that is what's going to drive interviews. That's what publicists do. We drive to get interviews based on your story.
Okay. And I'm seeing if I have, there are any more questions here. No, but I have one question, my final question. Do you only focus on New York? What if someone wants to deal with another region or country?
Mhm.
Do you?
Right. Well, I haven't gone out. I haven't gone international. I haven't gone outside of the states. I do PR outside of New York. I have clients in DC. I have clients in Jersey. I actually did a PR campaign for a client in California. The the message about it is, or I should say the recipe in doing PR is knowing who to contact. And if you already have the recipe of who do you contact in one state, the same recipe applies to other states. There's some more research, obviously, because each community, each demographic is different, but that recipe is still the same. You know, you still have the television networks, you still have the radio networks, you still have the online and print. You know, those are your main ones. Podcasts, they're universal. So it's all about really just understanding the recipe, and you can go anywhere and do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I thank everyone.